Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 16 of Quattroporte, the review series of course for the super saloons and also by extension sports saloons that are currently featured on Gran Turismo's lineup. And in this episode we're featuring pretty much the best super saloon that you can get from any of the American dealerships. There are relatively few American super saloons or sports saloons featured on the game. The majority of the saloons are by far European or Japanese, but this one thankfully really makes up for that lack of volume with how good it is even as pretty much a standalone vehicle. It is of course the 2011 Dodge or SRT Charger SRT-8. This is the facelifted newer generation model. Some people like the look, some people not so much. Personally, I think the front end doesn't look quite as good, but I think the brake light arrangement looks pretty neat, and also I think the interior does look far more interesting on this updated model. Now, American cars are, as I've alluded to in my series before, both this series and others, known for a few things. They're known for being pretty powerful, generally quite heavy, and very good value for money. And funnily enough, this car is all three of those things. It's one of the heaviest saloons in the game, but it's also one of the most powerful saloons in the game, and it's, thankfully, and possibly best of all, one of the best value for money super saloons on Gran Turismo. It's powered by a 6.4 litre V8, powering the rear wheels, fairly obviously, and you can supercharge it up to 927 horsepower and 840 pound-feet of torque. It is though heavy, as I mentioned. It's almost a 2-ton car in its stock form. You can strip it out, but it still weighs the best part of 1.5 tons, and that's a good 100 to 200 kilos heavier than most of its more mainstream European rivals. And considering that said rivals aren't exactly lightweight, being for the most part Mercs and Beamers, that's saying a lot that this is that much heavier than those vehicles. Thankfully though, it handles that weight extremely well. Now the performance is pretty strong, as you'd expect from such a powerful car. 927 horsepower regardless of your weight is going to give you at least some decent level of performance. Even the Jay Leno tank car is pretty quick with that level of power. And this car is no exception to that. The top speed is among the highest of the super saloon class. The acceleration is certainly no slouch either. It may not have all-wheel drive as some of the saloons do, but it still handles itself seriously well for such a large and heavy car. Around the track, I was actually surprised just how good this car is, because I have to say I haven't really used it that much on Gran Turismo 6, nowhere near as much as it deserves. And I always knew it was a good car because I saw other people using it, but I never really thought about how good it could actually be. And I have to say, it's really good. Quite outstanding, in fact, in terms of handling. Considering how much weight and power it has to deal with, it does so remarkably well. In some cases, better, I would say, than its Japanese or German or European, by extension, rivals. Add on top of that the fact that it's a premium model, one of the most powerful saloons in the game, and one of the fastest saloons in the game, and it just keeps on getting better and better. And to top all of that off, what is possibly the best thing about this car is the value for money. This car has two main rivals, really. They are the Mercedes C63 and the BMW M5. There are some others, but those are pretty much the two top-level super saloons that this car needs to go up against. It has very similar specs to both of them, some ways better, some ways not so much, but it undercuts both of those cars by being around half the price, if not less. This car costs less than 47,000 credits, making its value for money actually one of the best in the game in terms of pure bang for buck. So, if you're looking for a good deal, you do well to find one better than this, because you're just not going to. In terms of straight line performance, well, it's an American car with 927 horsepower, so what do you expect? But I do have to say, and I mentioned it earlier, but the handling around the track is shockingly good, to be honest. I did not expect it to handle itself anywhere near as well as it does. And one of the slightly surprising things about the car is the PP. It's one of the highest of the saloon class, and that is surprising considering how heavy it is. It sits fully tuned at 615 PP, and that's very high for a super saloon. That's almost as high as the Mercedes C63, which does have less weight and even more power than this car. So it gives you some idea of just how well Polyphony's rating system considers this car to be, or how good it considers it to be. And I have to say, it lives up to that. And even though I don't give it as much use as it deserves, for anyone who's a fan of super saloons in general, or definitely specifically American cars, you will not be disappointed by this one. And the fact that it's a premium just adds to the value. So, that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.